20 overs have yielded 131 for Virat Kohli's Royal Challengers Bangalore after he himself decided to open the batting. Not a move that worked on the night. We talk about that. We talk about an innings that didn't quite take off in the way that RCB fans would have hoped in what is a must win game for their side. We also talk about what was a very impressive all round Sunrisers bowling unit on Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout powered by Dell. Let's get thoughts from Sanjay Manjrekar and Gautam Gambhir. Sanjay, coming to you first. 131 Sunrisers would happily take that.
Absolutely. Because the pitch actually had grass on the surface, but it played exactly like the way the Sunrisers Hyderabad bowlers like it. And what a great start, having Padikkal and Virat Kohli back in the pavilion in the fourth over. So yes, this score, they'll be delighted with it.
Yeah, we spoke in the pre-show, Gautam, about the impact of Jason Holder, and he showed his value in a big game.
Absolutely, and he captains an international side. So we should not forget that. And he plays international cricket continuously. He plays probably two formats out of three. So obviously he's done what he was supposed to do. Started really well with the new ball. Obviously got two important wickets as well. And look at the economy rate as well. 6.25, 4 overs, 3 wickets, 25. What more can you expect from your overseas all-rounder?
Can you explain? Well, let's spend some time on Jason Holder. Then I'll come to the explanation for the RCB batting. And we predicted it, didn't we, Sanjay? His conditions would help and whatnot. But Jason Holder is not the quickest, and he still finds a way to be effective. He bowls at the death too. It's not like he only bowls the easy overs.
Yeah, we saw him bowl in the death. He bowled the 19th, which is always a compliment to any bowler, and he bowls the Yorkers at will. And Gautam makes a very interesting point about international cricket. If you're playing international cricket and you're one of the senior members of your national team and playing regularly at the test level or the 50-odd level, then there is depth to you as a cricketer. All you need is a little bit of a comfort feeling that you belong here. And once you have that, you see this guy sort of blossom because the temperament is there, the experience is there. We talked about the Padikkal's issue with the short ball. He got his wicket with the rising delivery, a bit of a slow ball down the leg side. Virat Kohli was struggling with the pace in the pitch. So all that was being used beautifully, even by Jason Holder. It suited Sandeep Sharma perfectly and to an extent Natarajan. But Holder as well used his experience to bowl that much less quick with the length ball and the odd rearing short of length and the Yorker. So wonderful spell from him.
Regardless of how deep Sunrisers go, Gautam, you'd think that, forget whether the big auction happens or not, that Jason Holder is one of those players they'd want to retain?
Look, I'm sure, but at the same time, a lot of other franchise would be looking at Jason Holder as well. So it's a great thing to have when you come as a replacement and then you've done so well, so that other franchise could be interested in you as well. And I've always maintained that. I know it was actually very surprising for me that no one actually went after someone like Jason Holder. Yes, Jimmy Neesham was picked, Chris Morris was picked, other all-rounders were picked. But then Jason Holder, who plays two formats continuously, plays international cricket, and for a team which actually struggles in a test format and in one-day cricket, so you're always under the pump, you're always under pressure to deliver. So when you're under pressure to deliver most of the time in international cricket, so obviously you know how to handle that pressure. That is something which we've always spoken about, how important it is for overseas players to handle the pressure of IPL.
I think, Gautam, what happened with Jason, because Ronak, you also mentioned it in the pre-show, that because he doesn't have much of a career record as a T20 player at the international level, because getting into that West Indies side in T20 cricket is a lot tougher than getting into that test side. So he had this sort of stamp that he's a classical kind of all-rounder suited for test cricket, 50 overs, not so much for T20 cricket. But anybody who's seen him in recent times playing T20 cricket, and the advantage with Caribbean Premier League is that there are a lot of local players. So Jason Holder gets a lot of games in that league, and in that league, and we got to see it live this time in India, and I did some commentary as well on a few matches, and we all realized that he was really developing very well as a T20 player.
I just want to add that, see, when you look at the records, when you look at the stats, it could be very misleading. Jimmy Neesham doesn't have the great stats in T20 cricket, neither does Chris Morris in international cricket. But those guys get picked purely from a point of view because there is this so much of thinking behind the franchise. Oh, you know what, he can hit a long ball, he can bowl 140 plus. Probably Jason Holder is in not the same category of someone who can bowl 140 or can probably hit those big shots, but he is very much capable because, as Sanjay just mentioned, it is very difficult to fit into a West Indian T20 side. Probably if
Yeah.
Jason Holder would have been playing for any other international side, he would have been in the T20 side. It is only West Indies, that's the reason. But he's so much capable with his batting. He has so much of talent in his batting. He can play the big shots. He can play spin well. He can be batting. He could be batting at number 4, number 5.
Yeah.
Plus, his height is a huge factor. He can get bounce on any wicket. So bounce, we all know, we've played enough international cricket, that bounce is far more difficult to handle as compared to pace. So someone who's got bounce, it's always difficult to actually go after him.
Yep, and perhaps it goes against Jason Holder that he plays for the West Indies, because you associate T20 West Indian stars in the Russell Pollard category, and if he doesn't make that first team, you start thinking of Jason Holder perhaps not in the same league as franchises seem to look at a Mitchell Marsh or a Marcus Stoinis or a Jimmy Neesham, like they pointed out. But major reality check. So well
No,
done
no,
to Jason Holder.
depends on the coaches as well,
I
Ron.
was going to come to that. I wanted one of you to say
Depends
it.
on the coaches. I'm telling you, this is the fact. I've seen it. If a certain coach is from a certain country and he's seen his players probably more closely than the other players, they would definitely go after. Because see, if you only go by stats, Mitchell Marsh, Chris Morris, Jimmy Neesham, all these guys does not have a great T20 international record, but they still end up getting picked. Or for that matter, Corey Anderson played for such a long time in the IPL. He doesn't have a great T20 record either.
So, just question for the two of you, that you think Jason Holder would be an effective long-term all-rounder for a franchise too, even when you look at IPLs in India. Yes, Sanjay, you got them. Sanjay?
Yes, because he's not 140 plus like an Ocean Thomas, who's quick and all over the place. So he can be a bit of a gamble, and that's why Rajasthan Royals may not have played him at all. Jason Holder has the calmness, the temperament. We were talking before the show as well of the street smartness that you need in T20 cricket. All he needed was some assurance and self-belief that he can play this format too. And that has happened this season. Today as well, you saw the performance. He got some early wickets with typical new ball bowling and then came in and bowled in the death as well. Now he's done that discipline, because he's a pure bowler. He can walk into the team as a bowler. And there were occasions when he was playing for West Indies more as a batting all-rounder than a bowling all-rounder that he is now. But come a kind of a crisis situation and they need some help with the bat, Jason Holder is more than capable contributing in the bat. So in Indian conditions, you look at Jason Holder the way he's playing now, I think he'll be an attractive buy for any franchise.
All right, brilliant. Let's talk about RCB's batting and try and make sense of that innings. It looked like getting to a strike rate of 102 was hard for the top 7. AB de Villiers transcended those conditions, you think, and played at 130. But even Aaron Finch, Gautam, who played 30 balls, didn't quite look at his fluent best. How would you sum up that RCB batting effort?
Just lack of confidence. Too much of dependency on AB de Villiers. And that's been the case for years and years. And Virat Kohli opening the batting didn't work. But then again, we spoke about it before the start of the game, that it is not important that if Virat Kohli will open the batting, everything will get sorted. It's just the mindset as well. What mindset do you go in with? How much freedom do you end up giving your players as well? Because it was a brain fade kind of a moment for Moeen Ali. An overseas player on a free hit actually hits the ball straight to cover and end up getting run out. I've never seen something like that. So Aaron Finch as well struggled. Obviously, needed some rhythm, needed some momentum, but it didn't happen. It's just the overall batting lineup. And a young Padikkal actually is the most successful batter after AB de Villiers. So again, I think it's just the entire batting lineup that has struggled. And again, I think, it's very difficult actually to talk about RCB's batting, to be honest, because I think they're too much about individuals. It's not about the team. And that is where the problem has been all these years. It's only about AB and Virat. What do they want? How comfortable do we make AB and Virat? This is not how teams are run. This is not how you end up winning sport. Yes, you will have those individual brilliances from there. So I don't know, it's probably year after year, it's the same thing.
Yeah, Tom Moody's actually made that point on our network before, Sanjay, on this very thing, the culture of RCB, which even after all these years is so heavily dependent and formed around AB and Kohli. The problem is when either of those two, if not both, struggle or fail, you don't find enough people to put their hands up. Now, is it, like Gautam said, a confidence thing? Is it a culture thing? What do you make of it?
It's, I think, basically leadership/planning. All of us did a preview of the IPL and the teams likely to win. And not too many of us were backing RCB. Why? Because the plan was still the same. the fulcrum of the batting was still the same: Virat Kohli, AB de Villiers. There wasn't a couple of other batsmen that we were all excited to look forward to who would held these two out. Padikkal was a revelation. And what about the bowling? Over the years, what has really hampered them has been the hit and miss performance of a Mohammad Siraj, of a Umesh Yadav. Now, they've said a talented fast bowler, but not a reliable T20 bowler, and they're stuck with those guys. So, apart from Chahal and Washington Sundar, all the others have been inconsistent, barring a couple of batsmen. So, when the approach doesn't change and the plan doesn't change, then very often you get the same results. But specifically for today's game, I would say the slowness of the pitch got the better of Virat Kohli. But I think, this was one case where you could maybe have asked the genius that AB de Villiers is to bat at 5. I'd like to get Gautam's thoughts also on it. Because once Padikkal got out in the 4th over, Ronak, they had two right-handers together because AB was batting at 4. It was a God-sent opportunity for Shahbaz Nadeem and Rashid. And they actually bowled 6 overs together for just about 40 runs. So they've lost 2 wickets. And after that, what happened for the next 6 or 7 overs was they dug themselves a deeper hole. Finally, Finch, got a little impatient, got out. So I just wonder if they had maybe sent in a left-hander, because to use AB de Villiers to build an innings wasn't the greatest idea. So Moeen Ali or maybe a Dubey to just go out and hit, and then let your Ferrari come in a little later because he's going to take off anytime. So using AB de Villiers and getting 2 right-handers there, both trying to rebuild the innings, was actually playing into the hands of the Sunrisers Hyderabad. So there was no comeback after that.
Gautam, your thoughts on that?
So again, I've been saying it year after year that I think RCB's batting is a little overrated. Because they play so much of cricket in Chinnaswamy, that's why we end up giving so much of credit to the batting. Yes, AB de Villiers is a genius. But apart from that, I don't see that. To be honest, Virat Kohli struggled in this tournament because there were bigger grounds. There were wickets that were stopping. It wasn't like Chinnaswamy. So again, if the thing is, if we keep talking about the batting, then they should deliver every time in all the conditions. But they haven't done that. So AB de Villiers, yes, probably I have to agree with someone like Sanjay that you got to be flexible. And again, I think it's so much about AB de Villiers and Virat Kohli that we stop thinking about other players. And sometimes what happens in a team sport, and especially in a franchise, when the entire importance goes to 2 players, all the rest of the squad starts feeling neglected as well. This is not how you run the franchise. For once, they need to stop thinking about 2 people. They need to think about rest 23, 24, whatever number of squad do they have. And when you don't make other people feel important, then obviously they start going into their shell as well. You see anything for years and years. When it was Chris Gayle, it was Chris, it was Virat, it was AB. Now there's no Chris, there's only Virat and AB. Probably next year it will exactly be the same as well, Virat, AB. So the coaching staff, the franchise, the owners, everyone needs to think on those lines that this is not AB de Villiers and Virat Kohli's Royal Challengers. This is Bangalore Royal Challengers. And everyone needs to take up that responsibility, and everyone needs to be given equal importance as well. And that is why I always believe the small contributions should have been given a lot of credit. And that's why when I started that culture, I hate talking about myself, but when I started that culture in KKR to give man of the matches to those small performances, someone who's finished the game or someone who's bowled a magnificent spell of 4 overs, that's how you start integrating everyone into the mainstream. Otherwise, all these guys will keep getting neglected and you will see the same performances year after year.
All right, that's brilliant. We will review this more in detail when it looks like this is a score that is going to be a challenge for RCB's bowlers to defend against the informed Sunrisers. So let's pick up that conversation then. Big thank you to Gautam Gambhir and Sanjay Manjrekar. We've already had the second innings underway. The tone of this mid-inning show has been that RCB have lost their batting.
I'm waiting for the match to finish before
but there are 130 runs to defend if RCB's bowlers. But I think regardless, both of you would maintain that there are 22s. It doesn't matter how this result is. So let's leave it there. Right. Pick it up with Gautam and Sanjay at the end of it all on Whirlpool presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell. Let's see you then.
Thank you.